Hello, everyone. So, how do we see absolute beauty? How do we see beauty that isn't physical? How do we see beauty that is a trait of character, a state of being that a person basically is? We don't see it in the moments when everyone's looking at someone and they have a choice to make. We don't see it when there is reward to be gained. We don't see it when a person is accepted into a group based on the decision that they make. We see it when there is nothing to be gained, when there is no witness, and that there is no other way for a virtuous thing to be done, a good thing to be done, than for it to be done for its own sake. And it's not something that basically by necessity for the person to be aware that somebody is witnessing it would basically make it irrelevant because, well, it wouldn't be irrelevant. Doing the right thing is still good, but it's the best. Doing the right thing is the best when someone thinks that nobody else is watching, when someone thinks that there's no reward to be taken out of it. Doing the right thing in complete darkness. A pinpoint of light shines the brightest in complete darkness, in complete hellish environment. When you're in the deepest pit and you still do the right thing, even if nobody knows it's you, and there's no basic reward or gain that you get out of it, that's when you really show your character. Now, this manifests in this world in so many ways, but to be honest, it's more of something that you have to observe within yourself. You have to decide, am I doing this because I want to gain something? Am I doing this because I want to be recognized? Or am I doing it because it's the right thing to do? Am I doing it because it feels good? No, if you want to experience absolute virtue and you want to be an absolutely good person, you have to learn to think just in regard to doing something that is right because it's right, not because you'll get anything out of it, or you can look back and say, oh, I was such a great person, or you think you're going to go to heaven for it, or you'll have a group because of it. You feel initiated. Whatever you think that you're going to gain from a situation, based on somebody witnessing it, or based on material gain at the time or later on, or even heaven and hell, for instance, but that's more complicated. You have to toss that aside and do what's right as you understand what is right, regardless if the fact is that you don't gain anything from it. Now, if you do something that's right because you think you're going to go to heaven, or you're going to go to heaven forever, or you're going to go to Vaikunt in Hinduism forever, heavenly realm, or if you're going to go to any heavenly plane in any other religion, then you're still your motives are still a little corrupted. Now, that doesn't mean that doing good is like evil if you want something out of it. It just means that it's not pure morality. It's not pure virtue. It's not a pure understanding of why you should be doing what you are doing if it's a good thing. And it's really hard to separate if people believe in God, or if I believe in God and I believe in different realms. It's really hard to separate ourselves or other people from the motive that everything is recorded within themselves, with their soul, and that everything's going to be basically dictated to God after they die, and then that's how they're going to go to a different dimension to either experience pleasure or pain for either a set amount of time or for an eternity, based on the understanding in one's sect in a religion. But it's really hard to separate that motive of going to a heavenly plane from just doing the right thing because it's the right thing. It's very hard to separate those two. That's why it really comes down to how you observe yourself. If you observe yourself, and you see what your motives are, obviously, if you really examine what your motives are, why you do this or that, why you do a good thing or why you do a bad thing, it's only your motives are only perceptible from a singular point of view, and that's your own. You can't let your motives be judged by somebody else just because you tell them that and they're like, oh, good job. No, you have to look at yourself. You have to try and understand why you do things, how you do things, and if your understanding of why right is right is accurate? Is it based on what was told to you, or is it based on your own understanding of what is right, your own observations of what is true, of what is just? And if your own observations have led you into a system of belief, even if you believe that you'll go to heaven if you do this or that, then at least you're basing your motives off of realizations you've made and not something that you've been told to believe. But you have to try and understand why you believe what you believe, why your religion or lack thereof, or spirituality or lack thereof, is what it is. If the components of it, the beliefs in different virtues, the beliefs in different avatars, Christ, Buddha, Krishna, in various religions, why you follow a particular one, or even if you don't, you have to decide who influenced you along the way, and did it influence your motives for doing good? Did it shape your motives for doing good? And if it did, then you have to reevaluate and think, okay, let me just break down why or how I believe things. And you might find that you have to start from square one because there's so many influences in our lives. And I've been fortunate because I wasn't indoctrinated by my parents. That by the time I was old enough to really start thinking about God, which is like 7, 8 years old, I realized that my parents didn't know anything about God. And that really was a blessing because they wouldn't have known what to tell me anyway. So I started my journey from there. And, I was fortunate in that sense, but not everybody's that fortunate. So much indoctrination happens around the world without people even really realizing they're being indoctrinated. And, it doesn't mean that I think that Hinduism is right because I'm Hindu. It just means that you have to learn why you believe what you believe, what influences influence you, and kind of assess reality from a completely neutral point of view and see what you come up with based on how you understand, based on your specific mind, your specific being, your specific personhood. Basically it composes a perspective. So try to develop towards your own perspective, and evaluate your reality based on that, and try to develop an understanding of why you want to do what is right and why you believe this or that is right. And then you can finally start working towards a point where you do what is right because it's right, and not just because you'll be rewarded for it. Here in the hereafter, or on this earth because people see it, or because you'll get something out of it. Now, doing right, doing what is just, what is good, helping people, that's still good even if you have motives that aren't just for doing it for its own sake. But if you can work to a point where you just do what is right because it's right, that's when you truly work to a point where all of your selfish motives have been burnt off, and there's that pure bit of gold that is pure morality, is what remains. And that's really all I have to say about this. Try to find a way to understand why you think doing this or that is right, and would you do what is right in the circumstances when you wouldn't gain anything from it and nobody would see you doing it or remember it? Would you still do what is right? Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up down there. If you want to comment on this, feel free to comment, and I really appreciate you watching this far, and feel free to subscribe. I would love that. Thank you.